And thanks for joining us here on PM Express. It has been an explosive day at the Attorney General's Department because of the host of investigations that they are undertaking right now, looking into some former government officials under the Akufo-Addo administration and alleged corruption. But in the midst of all that very legitimate investigations, concerns have arisen about the potential for abuse of state powers in raids that have been carried out, searches, and in some cases arrests. Let's try and examine this thin line between holding individuals accountable but also respecting due process, which is really at the heart of the current controversy. A whole host of former government appointees are now the subject of Attorney General investigations. Not only Attorney General, but also we have the special prosecutor, like in the case of the former finance minister. We know right now that Ernest Adesing is one of those individuals who is under investigations for reasons that we are yet to quite establish. And hopefully tonight we can get some clarity on that. And then you have the situation with Kwabena Adu-Boahene, who was arrested on his arrival from London at the airport. Today we got some insights into why he was arrested and is currently still being detained. We'll get the very latest on that particular subject and ongoing investigations. Himself and his wife are currently behind bars. But why really? We'll try to understand that. And then you have, of course, the NSS deal, also still under investigations. What happened to Ms. Adu-Boahene is similar to what happened to her, Gift Yoware, who was also out of the country when she was declared wanted. A lot of fuss was made about her absence, and she came back in. She was arrested and questioned. We also know that he has also been questioned by the officials and authorities as far as the national security is concerned, investigating the alleged corruption of the National Service Scheme. Now, the key point to note about this is that today we got some insights about what investigators had found in their case, including alleged deposits into the accounts by some vendors. But these are all allegations. Nothing has been proven. Nothing. And all of them are innocent until proving otherwise. The Attorney General's Department knows that. And so why is the department putting out this much detail about them? They are not the only individual. We learned a bit more also about Ameya Kumfi, who is the board chair of the Ghana Infrastructure Fund, who is alleged to have authorized the disbursement of some almost $2 million, including Solomon Asamoah, the CEO. Both of them are currently subjects of investigations. In his case, we were told by the Attorney General today that he's hiding in Senegal, and he's told them that he will be back in this country 3 months from when they reached him, and so they're waiting for him to return. A lot has been said about the former finance minister himself. We've heard from the Attorney General today. He made the point that, yes, he's under pressure. Not under pressure from any individual within the political circles, but under pressure from you to get this done. You gave them a mandate in their manifesto, something that they told you they would do if they win. It was based on that you voted for the NDC. And so what they are doing, they're doing it in your name. And so it's time to assess whether you're carrying this out the way you expected them to. What about the alleged excesses, such as the accusations that 10,000 CDs allegedly stolen from the home of the former BOG governor is one of them. And then we look at the minority. They've been responding to this. A few things they've said, that the AG is prejudging the matter, but also warrants have not been executed properly, in fact, executed illegally. And they talked about abuse of power also. But really, we know now from what Attorney General has told us that they had executed that warrant and they had done so lawfully. The key questions around stolen money, stolen jewelry, and the way they carried about that execution of the warrant also begs a few questions that the Attorney General may have to clarify. We'll try and get some answers to that here on PM Express. But as far as the Attorney General is concerned, all searches were done legally, and they are done so and know the national security acted within the law. The Attorney General says he has actually instructed that every single act pursuant to their mandate must be done legally and lawfully. Now, plea bargaining, they say, is available to the individuals who want to take it, and they are hoping that they can use some of the individuals accused as prosecution witnesses against others. And so that definitely one to watch going forward. But a few things that we learned today. We have the SkyTrain one. We have the National Service Secretariat scandal. All of them, he says, they want to start prosecutions by April. So they're operating with a very tight schedule here, as far as the Attorney General is concerned. They know what they know, and they want to be very quick about getting to the heart of this so they can get to April and begin prosecutions. The key question is what charges? And that will give us a very clear picture of where they're going with this. But in the oral report, and by the way, you remember that that is a fundamental document that is guiding the subsequent investigations and arrest, with the exception of the former Signals Bureau boss. 230 cases in all is what was submitted to the Attorney General. And as we know, they claim that 21.1 billion is what they potentially could recover. It's a huge figure. The gap between putting this figure out there and actually getting it recovered is a huge one indeed. You must prove it in court. Everything you've heard today from the Attorney General's department, you must prove beyond reasonable doubt in court. And that reasonable doubt question is a very, very high bar. And we've seen in the past, cases start like this, they don't tend to get far. We've seen the case in the previous administration, we learned lessons there, where the former Cocoa Board boss was tried like that. It took 7 years and nothing happened, right? And so it starts like this, they seem to have a lot of evidence, and then the case goes to court where the threshold is evidence proved beyond reasonable doubt, and then they get stuck. So we'll see. There's a lot more that they need to do on this. But the list is long. The SkyTrain is what they're looking for. Bank of Ghana head office. Is this the reason why possibly the former BOG governor home was searched, right? We don't know, but a lot of them indeed to look at. And then this ties in with a bigger picture of anti-corruption. Ghana has been struggling with the corruption perception index. We've been on a downward trajectory for a long, long time. The key question is, the previous administration did poorly, the evidence says, when it comes to the corruption perception index. This government wants to do something about it. Question is, are they going about this the right way? We're trying to interrogate that. And then you look at their own focus in their manifesto was a big one indeed. So my guest is joining me, the Attorney General's Department, the Deputy Attorney General will join me. A few questions to get some clarity about the approach. Nobody's against the state agencies going after accountability, but it must be done according to due process. Here on PM Express, we will interrogate that and unpack it right after this. And thanks for joining us here on PM Express. And it's always brought to you by Syntax Tanks. It is strong, it is tough. Academic Times newspaper and Pepsodent Cavity Fighter. Now, Ghana, you must get ready if you really are looking into water tanks. Do you know the secret to real water story? It's simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it is not the correct tank. That's right. The tortoise tank, Syntax tank, is the champion of water tanks. It is strong, it is durable, and built to handle our Ghanaian weather, rain or shine. Syntax tank has your back. So many people go outside and check your water tank. And when they find the tortoise, they know it is quality, the seal of quality. Join the Syntax tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. 0244 335 168. Call that number and get one. And their agents are across the country, 400 agents across the country. You can't miss it. They are strong, they are tough. And of course, you're talking about the Academic Times Journal. It's also launching soon with 3 distinctive graphic publications and a journal to showcase and empower students across all educational levels. And that obviously will be a game changer in our universities across the country. And then tonight, before you go to bed, you need to brush your teeth. You must use Pepsodent Cavity Fighter. Every time we eat, food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, especially going through the day from breakfast all the way to supper. And you must take time to deal with it. How do you do that? Get a Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, and they come in different shapes, sizes, but also one that you can afford, designed for your pocket. A Pepsodent Cavity Fighter is what you need to get tonight. And I want to bring in my guest who is joining me right now. The Deputy Attorney General, Justice Srem Sai, joins me right now via Zoom. Also joining me is Martin Kwebu, member of the Oral Preparatory Team, a paralegal practitioner too, And also joining me is Professor Kwabena Adu-Boahene. He's Associate Professor of Law at the University of Ghana. I'm grateful, gentlemen, for joining us here on PM Express. And I want to start with you, the Deputy Attorney General, Justice Stremsai. One of the key cases that we learned a lot about today is the case about the former head DG, the Director General of the Signals Bureau, the National Signals Bureau. The sheer volume of information that your boss put out there was outstanding. Why did you find a need to pull out those details?
Thank you very much. We have been on this project for this particular case that you mentioned, the Adu-Boahene case, for a couple of weeks now. We did not find it necessary to put out any information until today. That is because we appreciate the fact that you cannot put out information of this kind unless you are certain of the facts that you are putting out. And so even though most of the things that we put out today, we've had them, we only concluded on some of them after we have arrested the persons involved and have confronted them with some of the facts which they seem to have agreed to. So we found it necessary to put them out because we have heard from the other side of the divide, and certain things have been confirmed.
And has he been charged with anything because you're currently holding himself and the wife?
No, we have not formally charged them yet. We have cautioned them, and they are helping still with the investigations. Very soon, we will put them before the courts and formally, charge them.
How long have they been in your custody?
The first person, that's Mr. Adu-Boahene, was arrested on Thursday night. And so today is the fourth day that he's been in custody. His wife was arrested on Friday afternoon. And so today will be her third day in our custody.
I mean, without a charge, 48 hours had elapsed. You have the legal basis to still hold them?
No, they've actually been granted bail. What is happening now is for them to satisfy the bail conditions. And so they are working around the clock. I think a lot has gone on with the bail. So as soon as they satisfy the condition, why not? They would go.
But if you listen to the Attorney General today, he, in essence, put out all the facts, I believe, and of course promised to put out even more.
Evans, I can tell you that is not all the facts at all.
Yeah, I mean, he promised to give us a bit more subsequently because of the sheer volume of facts that you have. But there's something that he said. He is confident that on the evidence, on the basis of the evidence you have, he will secure conviction. Isn't that prejudicial, considering that you haven't charged him yet? He's still in detention. He's going through the processes of meeting your bail conditions?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it's very important that I am happy that you brought this issue up because it was also part of a press conference held by, I think, the minority. In other words, their position is that anytime an attorney general makes a claim as to the chances of his success, then he is being prejudicial. I think that is not a very accurate proposition. Attorney generals all the time have a stance on any case that they take to court. They have their position. They are not, the Attorney General is not an arbiter who is required to be fair and not to prejudice the case. His argument really all the time is that I have what it takes to convict the person I'm putting before the court. So my point is that you only think that the Attorney General is being prejudicial if you also think that he's supposed to be an arbiter rather than a party. But unfortunately, the Attorney General is a party with a position which advances to the court and obviously to the public that anytime he is arresting someone or is putting the person before a court, the Attorney General is always saying that I have what it takes to obtain conviction. So it is nothing new. It is nothing out of place.
I want to bring in Professor Prejudicial on that question. Prof, on this very specific subject of the former Director General of the Signals Bureau, the Attorney General lays out a very strong case, including the evidence that he says they have, including how he was arrested, makes allegations about how they believe he was evading arrest, attempting to, changing his name, changing his the business class to first class, but then also the evidence that they've gathered against him, including he believes fraudulent and proceeds of crime. He uses that term quite a lot today. How monies were moved from one account to the other, in essence, embezzling state funds in excess of 30 million cedis. Considering that he hasn't been charged yet, considering that he has been bailed and currently attempting to meet the bail conditions, was it necessary for the AG to go ahead to put that much information when the individual is innocent until proven guilty?
Thank you for the question. I think the Attorney General acted rightly. I don't see anything wrong with what the Attorney General did. I think we want to have the Attorney General's office being as transparent as the current office is doing, because that tells us that we are in the know about what is going on. Because if the information had not been put out, the same critics who are saying today that our Attorney General is trying to be prejudicial and so on and trying to play try the case and win it from a public opinion perspective, are the same people who would have come out to say that there's some opaqueness about the whole process. They want to know more. If you recall, when the Attorney General decided to apply the knowledge prosecutor principle to some cases, there was a lot of demand that Attorney General should come and explain the reason and the rationale for discontinuing those cases, even though the Attorney General was not compelled to do so according to the rules and the knowledge prosecutor. So I think in coming up to tell us about the case, it shows some transparency on the part of the Office of the Attorney General, and I think it should rather be applauded for doing that. If that trend will continue, it will help create that transparency with the cases that the Attorney General's office is doing, particularly in the context of politically exposed persons, because if that is not done, then there will be a lot of speculations and some claims of witch hunting and so on. So I think it's the right thing for the Attorney General to have done.
I mean, and Martin Kwabena, to you now, you're a human rights lawyer long before you became a member of the oral team. Prof says the Attorney General did the right thing, but what about the potential for the individual involved to be convicted on the evidence that has been put out there in the public domain in the court of public opinion?
Well, Evans, that's the price we have to pay in a democracy, where the Attorney General is supposed to be accounting to the people as he carries out his functions. So as for the court of public opinion dealing with the matter ahead, it's always been like that. Because, when you asked Professor Tua about it, I started, remembering the O.J. Simpson trial, look at even the current mayor of New York, Adams, etc. So the Attorney General will come out, Donald Trump's trial, even before the trial started, etc. So it looks like that is part of the price we pay. So if we entrust you with public office, or if you go near public funds or public property, or even for that matter, any other crime, if you conduct yourself in a manner that is borders on crime or allegedly constitutes a crime, this is the price to pay, that it will be discussed in the media before the actual trial. And that's it in all the advanced democracies. Oh, and Evans, before I forget, I want to say a special thank you to Professor Etia. Those days last year, I remembered how interview after interview, he was very objective. I say so because everybody knowing his name, you'd have thought that the way they say it in Chi, that an Ashanti man will say, hey, MPP, Edi Chami Fruma. So he won't be objective. But I remember how Professor Tuya had questions. He answered and he did very well. Professor Tuya is one person that John Mahama should meet because he's really, really done well. The people who stood in the middle. Because remember, a lot of people kept quiet, but Professor Tuya kept granting interviews and he was very forthright. These are the people we should celebrate. Unlike those who kept quiet and just concentrated on feasting with Akufo-Addo. Whilst things were getting bad, the elders in town refused to talk. But Professor Tuya is one Akan elder who spoke up, like even later Professor Frimpong Boateng did, etc. But Tuya's own is legendary because at least I'm not aware that he got government contracts. So throughout, he was consistent. Anyway, so back to our subject here. So I think what the Attorney General did is the best. I mean, it's good that he's accounting. And earlier on, we heard Professor Tuya mentioning that the knowledge prosecutor, he coming out to give reasons. He's moved our democracy forward, though. It's a huge step forward because, through the assignment of the reasons for the discontinuation of the cases, one thing we shouldn't forget is that a lot of us came away with the impression that for Collins Dowd's case, that's not the end of it. The $200 million Sagleme project, the reasons Dr. Ayine gave didn't satisfy me. So I've always said that since that day, we should come together and ask for an independent audit of the project, the Saglame project. Did we get value for money? So that if there is change, we should go after them to give us change. Yes. So you see the essence of giving reasons for the decision. Yes. As for Jakpa's own, etc., those were no-brainers. You could see Godfrey Dame misconducted himself, the ethical breaches. So Dr. Ayine did well. But when it came to Collins Dowd's case, when I looked at it, I said, no, let's do an independent audit of the project. Did we get value for the $200 million, etc., that was paid? Yeah.
Well, we're yet to get a bit more on where they are with that particular investigations. But on the subject of possible prejudicial comments, I want to bring in Nana J. Bafo, who is a vice chair of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee in Parliament. He joins us right now via Zoom, MP for Menchel South also. One of the key cases that the minority in Parliament who had raised issues with, the way it was handled, there's a case of Kwabena Adu-Boahene. Your minority leader was on Facebook recounting how he was arrested and maltreated at the airport and whisked away, and he alleges that his rights were trampled upon. Today we've heard the Attorney General give a very detailed explanation as to what happened, but also the reasons why he was arrested, together with the wife. Having heard those details, do you still stand by the accusations you had made on the minority side that his rights were trampled upon when he was arrested the way he was?
Good evening to your cherished listeners, my brother. Good evening to my friends who was on the program. I think that having heard him, it is even worse for me. It is even worse for me because it is obvious that, he's already been tried. The Attorney General has already prejudged the matter. And by the way, we need to put this on record. Kwabena Adu-Boahene is not a member of the MPP. He's a civil servant who's been working all these years at the National Security Organization. And so when we speak in defense of Kwabena Adu-Boahene, we are speaking in defense of the rights of the ordinary Ghanaian, which should be the responsibility of the Attorney General, who also doubles as a Minister for Justice, right? I mean, when I listen to the details, I thought that the Attorney General really and truly had forgotten that he was also a Minister for Justice, and I don't think it was fair.
I mean, you made a point about him being a citizen. And he's right. I mean, listen to that.
A civil servant.
You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, I listened to the Attorney General, and he traces his rise to the top of the National Signals Bureau, which used to have a different name until the law was amended. And he appeared to have been appointed, in fact, rose to the rank of a deputy DG under John Mahama and only became a DG under Akufo-Addo. So this is somebody that John Mahama himself trusted at the time and got the nod, and obviously subsequently got promoted even further. So this is somebody who was risen to the rank because of his qualifications. But how is that important to this current conversation?
It's important to this current conversation to the extent that as minority, we need to remind our Attorney General and Minister of Justice that he needs to ensure that the right of Mr. Adu-Boahene is protected. He is guilty and he is innocent until proven guilty. And so we could have looked elsewhere and said, this man is not a politician, right? And so we don't care. But we think that we all have a duty to remind ourselves that let's conduct ourselves within the Constitution of Ghana. That's all, my brother.
I mean, Justice Samsa, what's your response to that? I mean, considering that he is a civil servant, from what we just heard there from Nana Ejay-Bafwe, I mean, the narration from the Attorney General himself suggests that he is. This is somebody who is not politically exposed. He is just risen to the rank by virtue of his competence. Are you factoring that in the way the AG's department is approaching this?
No, I mean, we have never mentioned any political party in any speech that we have given. So I don't see why we should be concerned about the political issue. We have been very forthright with the facts. We gave you the facts as they are. We have never in any of the speeches that have been given, any of the publication, mentioned any political party. We have never looked at him as a member of any political party because it doesn't matter to us what political party he belongs to. The only thing we are looking at is what he has done and the facts, the evidence that we have, and what we are supposed to do under the law. And so I do not see why and how a political party discussion comes in here at all.
Let's look at another case that has become very contentious. And today the AG updated us on that. The search that was executed on the home of the former Bank of Ghana governor. It's been called the raid. The Attorney General disagrees because he says you were executing a legally procured warrant. However, the accusation is that the officers who executed this warrant stole 10,000 CDs. I mean, that has been disputed. But what about the fact that when they went in there, they allegedly had to disarm the CCTV? And we saw the pictures of the CCTV having been removed from its station, for example. They drove away vehicles. It was a search warrant, not a warrant to seize items. Justice.
Yeah, Evans.
Yeah.
I think let's put the facts. Let's be fair to the fact that we have no CCTV has been removed. What was removed was the storage, chamber of the CCTV. So that's the hard drive.
Yeah, but they don't have the right to do that. They were to search, not remove items.
How do you know they don't have the right to do that?
But it's a search warrant, is it not?
Yeah, the search warrant indicates that when you get a search warrant, okay, and you look at the terms of the search warrant, a standard search warrant indicates to you that, first of all, to get a search warrant means that you are looking for evidence. You understand? So when you get a search warrant, the warrant will indicate to you what type of things you can seize and what, in fact, some of them would even indicate to you that you could arrest persons that you suspect to be of relevance to the investigation.
In this specific case, what type of search warrant was this?
No, I mean, the terms of the search warrant allows any matter of evidence to be removed and kept. It also allowed persons to be arrested who may have evidence. And that is why I think that, you see, sometimes before we put some of these information out, even as the media, I expect that some basic explanation will accompany them. So, for example, you have said that CCTVs were removed. That is not a fact. And in fact, today, the Attorney General made it clear what was removed. Yet, how many hours later, we are still here talking about CCTVs being disarmed, which is not the case.
No, but I think you confirmed there that they removed the CCTV storage. That is disarming the CCTV.
Yeah, removing the storage the storage doesn't mean that the CCTV has been disarmed, as you like to put
No,
it. And
but the CCTV, if you have a CCTV in your house, the storage is everything. That unit is what controls the CCTV, without which it won't work. I mean, and I'm looking at the pictures there of what you're talking about. This looks to me like disarming the CCTV.
Evans, this issue began when your stations decided to call a search a raid. Okay, now we know there's a difference between a search and a raid, and I thought that matter could be put to rest. Now, the conversation has moved from a search and a raid to CCTV being disarmed. When it was made clear that it was a storage component of the CCTV that was removed for purposes of evidence. And so if you say the CCTV is disarmed, I don't know how familiar you are with how CCTVs work.
No, but I have CCTV in my home. Once you remove the storage, it doesn't function.
Anyway, granted that is the case, is it your point, is it your argument that removing the storage of the CCTV is unlawful? Is that what you are making?
No, I'm asking a question. I think you've explained.
No. You see, that you laid a foundation,
yes,
which suggests that unlawful behaviors, unlawful things were done. And then you back it up with certain facts. And I'm saying that if it is your argument that a person conducting a search who has been authorized to gather evidence, if he sees that part of a CCTV, in fact, even if it's the whole CCTV that was, removed, what you need to find out is to find out whether the removal was in accordance with the terms of what? Of the search. I have just informed you that the search allowed evidence to be gathered, yet you are still going on about CCTV being disarmed, thereby indirectly confirming, trying to create another impression that what happened was unlawful. So, we have been on this for a week. We have been on this. Please let me.
So I mean, no. The important clarity.
We have been on this conversation for a week.
The important clarity you've brought is the terms of the search warrant, which you say allow them, once they have searched and found the evidence, they are also allowed to also take possession of that evidence. I think that's what you've clarified.
Yes, but the additional point I'm making is that we need not travel all this far, to get this right, because we have been trying for a whole week to correct this impression of raid, and then from raid it jumps to another place. And I think that I understand if you don't have the facts and you make certain conclusions, that is pardonable. But when we have come to tell you the facts and you still go on about what you started with, then it means that there's something missing. The point I'm making is that 5 days ago, your reporters interviewed me at a program, and I made it clear that the search was done under a warrant. And from the briefing we had, the search was done in accordance with the terms of the warrant. No problem. Your media house particularly went on again to make further allegation and was interested in saying that monies were stolen, food were stolen from fridges and all that.
Well, unfortunately, we did not publish that. I mean, no, because you made that point, just for the facts, and I know you're a man who likes the facts. It was a minority.
Right now,
the minority, the minority made the allegation when media house reported it, which obviously you've clarified today at the press conference.
A few minutes ago, you mentioned that monies were stolen, right? On this issue.
But that is reporting what the minority had said. That I wasn't there, and I made the point about the minority leader making that allegation. So that is an allegation that was made. In fact, I was coming to what is going to be done about that allegation.
You did not make it clear that it was a minority. But let's leave that aside. The point I'm trying to make is that it is good if you hear information and you put it out there. But when you have the opportunity to have a counter information, I think it's fair that you vary your position in accordance with the new information you have received.
I actually don't have a position. I actually don't have a position on this matter. I mean, there are counterfacts as far as this is concerned. In fact, facts should not even be counted.
Anyways, so let's now take
the beauty is once we have you, we can ask the question and then you can clarify, which I think you've brought some clarity to on the key issues about monies being taken, on the key issues about seizure when it was a search warrant, and then the terms of the warrant. That offers clarity on the subject. I can only ask the question based on the accusations, and then you can explain.
Anyway, may I clarify further?
Yes.
Yeah, so when it comes to this allegation of cars being moved, things being stolen from the house and all that, I think the owner of the house is a man of enormous experience in public service. He's a very educated person, very confident and bold person. If something is missing in his house during the search, I believe that he would be able to make complaint to the police. He would take steps. The briefing we have received, and we have had 2 different briefings on this matter, and we have looked at other evidence, and including recordings and voice recordings from what happened. And there is no way that anybody who is not with malice will come up to accuse anyone of, first of all, stealing, or first of all, even doing something untoward. The briefing shows that when the investigators go to the house, the first thing they did was to reach out to speak with the owner of the house, who is Dr. Addison, and his wife. And they showed them the warrant. They perused the warrant and had their lawyer present before the search started. They led the investigators from room to room, showing them what they have to look at. And eventually, after they've satisfied themselves, I don't know what's happening, after they've satisfied themselves, there was a very huge cordiality between these persons. And that was done, after which they left. It was later that someone decided to say it was a raid. Now, even if it's a raid, the only picture we have been showing of any distraction, which now we know is actually not a distraction, is that CCTV memory chamber. If there was a raid, I expect that persons, the owner of the house or persons who went there, will show broken windows, broken doors, broken furniture, or things that show that there is raid. But the only thing that we have been seeing from a week ago is that chamber. And it is clear now that that chamber was only containing the CCTV drive, which was removed. And to remove it, those wires that you see hanging were wires that were plugged into the CCTV, the ports on the CCTV memory storage. And they were removed. And once they are removed, they obviously will be hanging because they don't have the port anymore. So I am saying that in as much as we want to put things across, it's also fair that even by looking at the pictures or the information put out alone, we should be able to make some deduction. Now, a while ago, one of the things you said was that why are we out speaking to matters that when the person is not before court? And I like the answer that Professor Appiah-Jaitua said, that the same people who accuse us of speaking are the same people who take advantage of our silence to put things in the public which are not correct. Look, if I tell you, it is not it is not the desire of the current Attorney General, neither is it the desire of President Mahama. President Mahama has made it clear to all of us that he is not interested in putting people before court and going to look for evidence. He's not interested in persecution. He's not interested in he's not interested in using criminal justice system to damage people's reputation and all that. And the instruction has been from my boss that, look, we only come out when we have sufficient evidence which we have tested. We have interviewed, look, a lot of people have been interrogated, running over 50 in these investigations. A lot of people have been, arrested, granted bail, and they are going about their normal life duties without anyone knowing. The only instances where we get this news or this information is when the politicians decide to run press conferences, when the politicians decide to put things out there. But a lot of people, and if you see, if I mention some of the names to you, you will see that we have in mind, first of all, to protect the integrity of the persons that are involved in this investigation, because we are at a point where we are not concrete on the evidence that is before us, and we are still looking for evidence. So both in terms of protecting the reputation of these people and also protecting the integrity of the investigation, it is not in our interest to be putting things out when we do not have sufficient, information or evidence or to that effect. And so it is strange that the people who take advantage of our silence are the same people who are now crying or saying that we shouldn't speak. It's as if there's a deliberate effort to silence the Attorney General's department so people can have a field day and say what they want to say to the public. At least one thing that I'm happy about this evening is that it is clear to everyone who is watching this program that, one, the search was done under warrant, that the terms of the warrant were complied with, and that Dr. Addison, who was the subject of the search himself, has not accused anyone of anything. It is a third party who was neither present at the search nor had any direct involvement in the process, who keeps saying something which he has no evidence to.
In fact, let me put that to Nana Adu-Boahene, because you hit on the nail there. And Nana Adu-Boahene, the Dr. Addison has lawyers, and we've just been told by the Deputy Attorney General that they respected the terms of the warrant. They asked his lawyers were present when the search was done. In fact, he himself, and I know Dr. Addison in the past, when he have accused him of anything, would have issued a statement when he was the BOG governor, would have issued a statement to clear this out. It is a minority that he's alleging that his 10,000 CDs were stolen. The man himself hasn't said anything. An allegation about jewelries being stolen, he hasn't said anything, if indeed jewelries were stolen, and that his home was raided. Now we know that this was pursuant to a legally executed warrant. So where's the minority getting all this from? Is it simply concocted because you want to paint the Attorney General's legitimate work in a way that it will attract public ridicule?
My brother, that the Deputy Attorney General is struggling to even clarify the matter. To begin with, to say that a search warrant was for the gathering of evidence, no court will give you a blanche search warrant to go on a fishing expedition. So at this point, we expect the Attorney General to tell us what exactly was he looking for. Is it the case that a part of the warrant, the terms of the warrant, was for the Attorney General to go for the hard drive of the CCTV? And for that reason, by procuring the hard drive of the CCTV, the terms of the warrant has been satisfied. The Attorney General has not been able to say so. That tells you that the Attorney General is not even standing on firm grounds because he's confused as to what he's looking for. Look, previously, what the position that we have all been trained to accept is that official position was true. But we have seen this Attorney General countless times come out with statements that he cannot back, statements that have proven not to be true. For instance, he said that there was a memo that had advised the discontinuation of a particular case. That memo never came out. When confronted, the Deputy Attorney General said, even in his private capacity, he has seen an evidence of the existence of the memo. What is that? It is either a memo or no memo. There's nothing like evidence of the existence of a memo. My brother, look, on that score, it becomes difficult for you to trust that Attorney General.
Yeah, but Mr. Boahene, you haven't answered my direct question. The direct question is about an allegation you have made that there's no evidence to back.
I am saying that when you go to court for a warrant, there are terms for the warrant. There's something you are looking for. A warrant is not given to you to pursue a fishing expedition, right? And so there are specifics of what you are looking for. You made that point.
You made that point. So, but you haven't told us. You haven't told us where you got this allegation about money's being stolen and jewelry is being removed.
It's the question of who do you believe, the minority or the Attorney General? And that's what I'm driving at. We have the account given to us by Dr. Addison. Dr. Addison hasn't come out to say that our account is untrue. It's the Attorney General that is suggesting that our account is untrue. And I am saying that by the Deputy Attorney General's account on your show this evening, it is obvious that their account is untrue because you are saying that you went on evidence gathering. The two of us know as lawyers that there's nothing like a carte blanche search warrant that gives you the power to go on a fishing expedition. What is obvious this evening is that the hard drive of the CCTV was removed. The Attorney General has not been able to say that that is what he was looking for. And so therefore, by having taken it, he had satisfied the terms of the warrant. He hasn't said so. What the question that arises is whether or not indeed that is what he went for. Does that not support our case that he took that out so that whatever he did in that house, there will be no record of it?
Well,
this is our position.
Well, that's an allegation you've made. Do you accept that you have no evidence to back this claim of money's being stolen and jewelry is being taken away?
No, I don't accept it. I don't accept it. We have made an allegation. The story came from Dr. Addison. Dr. Addison hasn't come out to deny it.
Yeah, but Dr. Addison,
right?
Dr. Addison, if indeed this happened to him and his rights were violated,
my brother,
would definitely would have gone public with this.
My brother, let me ask you a question. To say that he definitely have gone to public places as if very respectfully you are in his mind.
No, but because we saw a similar case with Ken Ofori-Atta. He went public. His lawyers went public.
Ken Ofori-Atta is not Dr. Addison. Dr. Addison has found a voice in the minority. He hasn't come out to say that what the minority is saying is not true. The AG's case is that we were not there, and so our account cannot be trusted. But what about the AG? The AG is also receiving an update from people who supposedly went to execute the warrant. And I am saying that we cannot trust the account of the AG because this is the AG that came out to say that there was in existence a certain memo that turned out not to be true. We cannot trust the AG.
Evans.
And so between the minority,
Evans, if you give me the opportunity to have a quick correction of something which
between the minority and the AG, the minority is more to be should be trusted more. But the AG, on account of previous misleading of the public.
I mean, Bafwe Strength Strike, stand by for me. I want to bring in Professor Prejudicial on this very briefly. Prof, tell me where you stand on this, the execution of the warrant and everything you've heard from the AG and from the minority, and give me your expert assessment of how this was conducted.
Well, I think that when we are talking about search warrants, it borders on rights issues as well. Issues regarding privacy, issues regarding property rights, and even issues regarding use of force, and which may affect the dignity of the person whose premises is being searched. The law is clear that things should be done in a transparent manner. And for that matter, I think that what should have been done is for the Attorney General should have earlier on come clearly to as he's doing now, because there were a lot of information that were missing, which therefore immediately led to speculation and people forming their own opinions and so on. But I have said that what the warrant might have said and the scope of the warrant, much as it would tell about what should be searched for, it cannot be very specific. It will the AG will ask that there's a particular crime a suspect to have been taking place, and then so the scope will be look for information that connects with the alleged crime. So it can go a little bit beyond what you may look for. So it cannot be specific as to what item to take or not to take. And there's a strong relationship between search and gathering of evidence, because why do you do the search? You do the search because you want to get evidence to support your case. So if you find the evidence, you don't leave it there. It may be tampered with, so it can be taken away. So for that matter, I don't fault the Attorney General. But my view is that what the nature of the warrants may have been properly secured by the Attorney General. And we also would have wanted to see what is the scope of this search warrant and even where it was obtained. But if that is not forthcoming, it is possible that the executors of the search warrant may have done something untoward. And so I would suggest that maybe in the next search warrant situation like this, they should record the process, or those whose premises are being searched should record it. Nothing stops them from recording that. And that would have supported the evidence or the claim that 10,000 was stolen, some jewelry and so on were taken away. And so the element of transparency is critical. And it's also up to Dr. Addison to have asked his lawyer, who was there, according to the Deputy AG, to have issued a report to the police so that judicial oversight of the process that took place that would have come into play. So at this point, it is what the Attorney General has said based on the assessment of the report received by the executors of the search warrant that they are relying on. And at this point, it's difficult to question that until that judicial review has taken place. And so, but I think that probably it's not in the purview of the Attorney General to make that conclusion that everything went as they had expected. It is subject to the court confirming that. But until the Dr. Addison has taken that step, we don't have any other reason to doubt what the Attorney General has said.
Justice Sensai?
Yeah, I think Professor Chia has actually explained a lot of the things. One thing which I would like to correct before I leave is this persistent claim by my good friend, the Honorable MP, saying that there was a memo, there was no memo. I think that matter was settled. I have indicated clearly that there was a memo on this, and the memo is still is there. So I don't know why he keeps repeating something which he knows is not accurate. And secondly, I understand where he stands. He would want to us to believe what he's saying, but the truth of the matter is that as you ask him, he has no basis, no evidence whatsoever to support the allegation that monies were stolen, jewelries were stolen, food was stolen from the fridge and all that. He had no basis to support the allegation that the minority made, that the persons who went to conduct the search were hungry boys looking for food. These are ways of just ridiculing people who are doing official work. And I think that it's time the minority, took a step to avoid some of these things. I mean, we are both lawyers. There are certain things that we have common grounds on. We know that if something is lost or is missing, the first thing you do as a lawyer or advise your clients to do is to report to the police. As we speak, no reports have been made. These are bare allegations of basically no basis. Like Professor Chia said, indeed, we can only relay what we have. And what we have, and we have done 2 briefings on this matter. What we have is what I've put out, that a lot of whatever happened there were done cordially. Of course, if Dr. Addison has any issue, the only way we can investigate that is when he makes a complaint, but not when third party who was neither present or had no connection with the event decide to make allegations.
And Justice, in the interest of time, and I want to give a final word to Kwabena, but in the interest of time, the AG promises today that we will get more briefings, but we also would effect more arrests and the probe will continue. Are there any lessons you've learned at all in the last few weeks as you embark on this drive that may influence how you approach the next arrest, the next search warrant, etc.?
Indeed, Evans, the first lesson we have learned is to make sure that the next time we conduct any search, we'll be the first to come out to inform the public of the search. The reason why we didn't think it was right for us to do that was because these are matters, like Professor Chia said, these are matters of privacy. So, for example, if we recorded the search in the house, do we publish it in this situation? Do we publish it to the public? And if we do the publication, won't Dr. Addison's right to privacy be violated? Because I don't think he wants everybody to see what is happening in his house, to know how his house looks like. So these are things that we weigh. As I speak to you, there is evidence of some of the things that I'm saying, which we can put out there, but we cannot put them out because we will be breaching the right of, his right to privacy. This is his home. His home is where he lives. Everything there enjoys some right of privacy. So we cannot, just because someone, a third party, has made an allegation, then we release a video of a thorough search of someone's home. So these are some of the difficulties you find yourself in when you sit in the chair that I'm sitting on. And that is why we say that if there is any formal complaint, we are willing and ready to submit whatever evidence we have to that committee or that investigation, but we cannot put them out on the media, in the media, just because someone is sitting somewhere and has made an allegation which has no basis in any way.
Okay, and Martin Kwabena, you've heard a lot. You've been observing since last week. We've had more revelations today, from the SkyTrain to the issues around the former DG of the Signals Bureau. We've also heard a bit today about the all the investigations that they're doing regarding the, some of the very fascinating matters that you yourself had looked into at oral. Are you satisfied that this AG is embarking on this with right motives to get to the heart of this, but also respecting the rule of law and due process?
Okay, so Evans, as for the AG acting with the right motives, there can be no doubt about it. I mean, everybody knows Dr. Ayene. Generally, he's known to be fair-minded. We all are still praising him for coming out with reasons for the nolle prosequas and the withdrawals. So motives, he will score 100%, or maybe 115. Now, when it comes to compliance with the law, naturally, he's human. It's not easy to score somebody 100%. Deputy Attorney General knows how difficult it is. Evans, I want to emphasize that, you see, for the searches that have gone on, there has been too much room for speculations and, arguments, counter-arguments. So we want to suggest that just as the police have their service instructions on how they conduct searches, we need to see the BNI one, the NIB. Where is this? It should be public. I had the police one. On Saturday, I took it to TV3. National security, I understand the search team is made up of NIB staff, police, etc. If you put them together and it's a joint team, please have service instructions for them.
Okay.
It's better so that, like the police one, if the team was made up of only policemen, I would have pulled that service instruction. Then I'll read rule by rule. Was this done? Was that done?
Yeah.
Was that done? But here is the case. You had an amalgam of national security officers, understand some were police, others were NIB. Then who has jurisdiction?
Yeah.
If you put them together, then have a service instruction for the joint operations. Then number two, so to that extent, to the extent that we don't have service instructions for how searches will be done when these state agencies come together, I cannot score them maybe beyond a bare pass for the search that was done. And I hope Justice Stremsai will take that to the Attorney General. Please, you are going to conduct a search. Let's have the rules ahead of time. And amongst that, we want to see that when you go in, give the occupant a copy of the warrant. Give him a copy. Don't just show it to him. The police rules that say show it to him, they are outdated. That was 2018. Look, you just Google America federal rules. When you go in, you give them a copy. Even possibly give them a copy of the motion, the affidavit you took to court. What did you tell the judge to get it? It's not all the time. Maybe if it's sensitive, like maybe terrorism, etc., they may say they will not give you the full affidavit.
Okay.
But you just don't give the warrant alone. Add the affidavit, what you told the court to get it. Then the person can peruse and see. Yeah. Number two, search the people, the person's going to undertake the search. Search them in front of the occupant, the owner of the premises or the occupant. Let him see that people have been searched. Let it be videotaped, okay? So that's why they should use body cams. And when they finish, do the same search. Then if somebody comes to say that any money is missing,
stolen, you have a basis to
last point, that. Evans, last point, we want to use Commission of Inquiry to get to the bottom of this matter. Jerry Ahmed Shaib, MP for Wager, came back to say that even the National Security Coordinator had to call Dr. Addison to apologize. I think the accusations and counter-accusations are too many. Let's set up Commission of Inquiry to get into the bottom of this matter as to what went on, so that when people suffer adverse consequences, the Constitution says that people can be debarred from becoming MPs. Yes, it's there, Article 278, etc. So Article 93 and 94. If a Commission of Inquiry makes a recommendation that you, for your conduct, you should not take public office, you cannot become an MP, so that we can punish some people, whoever is lying, because it's embarrassing.
Well, I mean, Martin, thank you very much. Stremsai, also Professor Prejudicial and Bafwe, I'm grateful that you all joined us. Enjoy the rest of your evening.